We are here in the Shiny League. This would be the last Emerald event for the Shiny League tourney. We are on Game 2 in the finals, ladies and gentlemen. This is here with TTV versus Ascendance. These are all great players. Recently, we've uploaded, of course, on the channel, lots of other teams, so I know that some people were saying, all right, we've watched enough TTV, now let's see some other stuff. And we did. I uploaded those things. We're still going to. We're looking into meta from all the various regions and countries and things that I can somehow sink my teeth into. We have had that starting buzzer, and I guess one of the first things we should mention for sure is going to be the choice of Blastoise here for Lutano. Obviously, pretty much always going Lucario, but sometimes with that Zarina play and soloing that top lane, well, now we're actually seeing this as a Blastoise and currently Squirtle, obviously. Everything else is kind of more standard, we'll say, for what TTV members usually play. Zugrug is the Jiggly, Goof is the Pika, Indie Bear obviously running that support healer, and Toon currently in the jungle with Dratini. This was actually submitted by a viewer. Once again, I'll always kind of leave credit there in the description. So far, I've just had one really helpful and really supportive, kind viewer doing any of the submissions. Most of the episodes are just recorded by me. By that, we mean capturing the gameplay and stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, if you have a connection to a really awesome match or a meta that we haven't really covered that much on this channel, any of those things, and you want to provide it, feel free to record your spectators and just comment to me anywhere. And I would absolutely love to commentate something that you've spectated from any of just the top teams. We're looking for close matches, top teams, top players. You guys know the drill right here. We're about to hit that 850. It's going to happen. And this will be the bees, not the bears. So we are, of course, it's very obvious, but this happens in a lot of tournaments, if not for every tournament. Wow, Lutano is just going to get caught up between Jungle Book and Overlord. Overlord is just an amazing player with that Lucario, Zarina sometimes. And so Toon kind of being put with his back up against the wall, you could say. Definitely has to play on the defensive right here, getting just absolutely pummeled with that pressure. So top lane, you can see already with 38 points left to break that goal. And the struggle, I think, with, of course, Lutano playing as, right now, Squirtle, but Blastoise in general, is that you really do got to level up. Luckily, we're going to see War Turtle right here. It can be tough. You really can start getting into the fray more when you've gotten Surf, at least. But really, just it comes down to being Blastoise. But certainly, stay tuned to the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you're new and you like that Pokemon Unite kind of esports style commentary. That's what we do around here for top teams and top players. Toon is here kind of in the center right now. We're going to see the movement speed up. We're noticing a lot of orange packing in. I was going to say perhaps ready to crowd the bottom. It would be a little bit early for Dreadnaw, of course, so the objective is not exactly the objective, we can call it, for maybe me just mincing my words here. But now that kind of leaves, of course, Lutano as the War Turtle at this moment to hopefully farm up, hopefully just not get pushed back anymore. It's going to be imperative to level up, like I said earlier. And so we're looking at 7:35 on the clock, just about. We'll be coming for the first Dreadnaw and Rotom here in no time, as we're going to see, of course, the 30 seconds when those pop up there on the minimap. Zug hiding out in this tall grass. The idea can sometimes be, hey, let's wait for the bees, of course, for 720, but they can hit this Audino up at the top center. So far, just lots of good pressure by Ascendance. You notice Mop Wop right here, playing as their Eldegoss. That's going to be typical. Curios, I can see. I've even seen this player be Slowbro at times. Going with the Pikachu, I mean, this is really just like a tournament thing, right? Like, we're basically almost seeing that mirror matchup. Of course, we have the difference of Blastoise, and that is going to be Dreadnaw and Rotom both on the map. Obviously, being that those are the first ones, they are going to appear at the same time. Any subsequent ones will, essentially, they'll pop up based on when they get defeated here in this first run. And so right now, we can kind of get a focus on Dreadnaw. Good job to our viewer friend right here, keeping the camera kind of stagnant. So look at that, man. It's going to be a burst on left side team. So that is TTV with Dragonite. I mean, that Hyper Beam, obviously. So look at this. Also going to absolutely gang up right there for a Jungle Book KO. And notice that Toon really taking advantage of time. Going to Draco Impact onto that bottom goal. So that'll be nice. This is where they can make the attempt, really even up the score. Look at that. 76 now to 72. But I was going to say, put a lot of pressure on that bottom goal right here. Goof able to pick up a lot of these points on the ground. That Audino looks like it's going to go down right here. Overlord up on the top does have the potential to break this goal. There are reasons that you might not do that if you want to strike at a different time. Normally you do this closer to the late game, of course, so we could see top goal getting broken decently before that. But in that final stretch, sometimes people will keep a bottom goal or a top goal all the way back at that first one. They will keep that up, even with 1 point to break. The idea being that in that final stretch, you're going to have double the points. So with all point values doubled and you break a goal that just has 1, it's easy, it's right there. It's going to be a goal that's very quick to get to because you don't have to travel as far, right, if it's the first goal. But we'll see. I doubt that that's the strategy looking at it when you see 5:35 on the clock here. So now Lutano maybe going to go for this goal. We'll go ahead and drop in that 14. That is generally, it's kind of that threshold, you know? If you were going to drop in like 16, that score shield may not actually last the typical amount of punishment that you're going to be getting, where they're trying to break that score shield and you're trying to maximize it. Well, 14 is a nice, one of the higher ends of that point value, basically, that you can actually outlast with the score shield's shield. And so notice Rotom going down very fast, and that is going to be Jungle Book. Gonna go ahead, burst that down, and so that'll be a Hyper Beam. Dragonite, we did just recently have a focus commentary on this channel, and so viewers at home can check that out if they are looking for the ins and outs, you know, from beginner to expert on Dragonite, and Dragonite specifically. So we're noticing, of course, just about 10 seconds right here for the second Dread to appear. And with 4:50 on the clock, we are going to transition out of mid-game pretty soon, get into late game in the final stretch. Notice, of course, we're going to incapacitate Dragonite real quick, Jungle Book. So that was nice on Goof. You want to keep Dragonite out of this, right? It can absolutely, you know, especially Dragonite and Lucario, too, for Orange Squad, they would be able to get those steals. And notice, of course, Jungle Book able to Draco Impact well over the team fight, get behind everybody, and then go for this Dread. And look at that, everyone just burst it down, and that will be right side team. So Ascendance, they absolutely managed to get that second Dread and then get some KOs, and that's critical, right? If you're taking advantage of having those shields, it is oftentimes that team that has the Dreadnaw. It's because of those shields, but it's also typically you are together. You've just made this push and you have the momentum to then get those KOs. But look at TTV. If there is a team to do it really well, obviously they will push that back and kind of buck the trend, if you want to call it that. You know, something that might typically happen, like let's say they don't get a Zapdos, they can still pull out the victory. Sometimes it looks like with ease, right? And so they are going to break that bottom goal right there, the first bottom goal. Collected a lot of points too, so Zug able to accumulate all of those right back up. And you can notice that our supports on both teams still have not scored any goals, and that is okay. It's just scoring being the name of the game, right? We obviously, I think both teams would say, you know, like, hey, we would like it if we had scored by this point. But notice Ascendance still has some other goose eggs right there with Pikachu, Wigglytuff, both at 0. And so they do have some ground to make up, but the interesting thing is we're not really seeing a match that is too far apart, right? You know, it's 145 to 92. That's definitely just in range. Somebody can get a 50, or we could have just kind of two middle range point values getting scored in. Look at this Draco Impact to dodge everybody else. With that Unite move, of course, having the Buddy Barrier on, Jungle Book was able to withstand any punishment that's going on. But simultaneously, while Jungle Book as the Dragonite was Draco Impact teleporting in essence, we did have Toon got W as Dragonite for TTV, as well as Zugra go down for that bottom lane, scoring in pretty high point values. And so just as Ascendance was looking to kind of even this up, you can notice TTV pushes right back and says, hey, no, we're gonna still keep this gap going and actually maybe extend it just a little bit. And so once again, Ascendance gonna get that Rotom. Dragonite awesome for the objectives, and so really Jungle Book had, you could say, kind of free range on hitting that. Goof ready to try to intercept. It's just obviously gonna be Pikachu solo against that. Hold it at bay as long as possible until, of course, Indy, he went TP back to base, jump pad over to that top lane and just give some assistance, of course. And so now we can see on the mini-map that Goof will go back, but this is where really you do have enough time to hit that third Dread, and so we could see Toon was the one to initiate that. And Lutano, Blastoise, this is a really great choice for this, but if you are Blastoise with Surf, for example, you can push back multiple teammates, but a lot of the opponent's team, look at that though, Pikachu gonna sneak that. That was Curios as Pikachu getting that final hit on the Dreadnaw, and that was crucial. Overlord getting a nice KO right here as well, because especially in this meta, a lot of these teams know the teams are gonna go for Zapdos, you know, and Ascendance knows that they are down. We have hit that final stretch, so this is where things are going to get interesting, because whichever team can either defend the Zapdos, get the Zapdos to charge those goals, that's likely what's going to shape it here, unless the teams do just kind of tear each other apart so much right here that it ends up that they kind of break off into little sections and maybe just score instead. And so it looks like we're going to have the Draco Impact go down right here. Overlord going to get hit by it, but also throw out that Aura Cannon. Look at how much damage that Hyper Beam does. Aura Cannon, not enough to save it, because then Lutano can catch Overlord. Really in a bad spot for him, and look at this. Exelon getting pushed around right here by the Hydro Pumps, and now Jungle Book's gonna throw down with that Unite move. Yeah, again, it could get really dicey right here, but no, they are gonna take out Exelon. Look at this, Zapdos on just the last little bit of health. No, that will not be TTV, because it is, just as we mentioned earlier, a Dragonite steal. Dragonite, great for that. And so notice that with only one Ascendance member, though, ready to score, and that is Jungle Book, he can pick up some of these points and continue to score while those goals are charged. But notice that TTV almost immediately knew that we have gotten all all these KOs on Ascendance. We can go over to the goals and look at Indie Bear with that 96. Very nice. Completely turning things around, right? Because we are in that final stretch, and so when you've got these 50s, even some of the smaller point values, 20, 30, those, they are gonna hit big when they score. And so we are less than a minute until this match is over. Notice Jungle Book as the Dragonite, doing all the backcapping that he can, solo hanging in there, keeping Ascendance in this however they can, but TTV certainly ahead, but that will be a 100 against all odds as the solo Dragonite. Now notice Wigglytuff, of course, for Ascendance will be tackling that bottom goal, trying to get in, really at this stage, any points. It would be nice to get another 100. And so here we're seeing TTV largely up top and most of Ascendance down there on the bottom. And so it's like really just one or two members on each team left to defend against those big packs of players. This is where scoring is just going to get absolutely out of hand because we notice there's like little points, big points. Oh gosh, and we're now in the final 10 seconds. I'm trying to keep up with this. Look at Ascendance is starting to get in some of these points right here. But TTV at the same time scoring in those 14s. There's 2:24. Time's up. Was that another score? That was actually points. Yes, I saw a 56 right there at the last second. Did Ascendance pull ahead? That will be the question. This is another one of those games, ladies and gentlemen. We have to see the score right here. And it's going to show as orange, but that will actually be TTV. The reason that it shows them as orange is because of whoever you leave off on spectating. Basically, if you're spectating that team, they end off as purple. And so it looks like our spectator cam was ending off on Ascendance, who is going to lose this by just a total of 6 points. What a match. And that is what you like to see, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Dr. Kendo. Please feel free to click an end screen on screen to see another one. And thanks for viewing.